Hello and welcome to Fedmail. Thank you for joining us once again this week. I hope you're doing well and that your friends, families, and loved ones are doing well too. As I mention every week, please let us know if there's anything we can do to help. I know the weather is about to get very cold this weekend, so stay warm. If you need us, please let us know. There are a lot of events coming up, there always are, and I wanted to let you know of a few of them that you should have on your calendar, beginning with tomorrow night's Yad Comedy Night and Singles Mixer. Very cool. Get some laughs in. We all need laughs these days, so make sure to check that out. There's a flyer in Fedmail. There's a flyer for all of these in Fedmail, which there always are. This week we also observed Tu B'Shvat, the celebration of trees, the birthday of trees, the Rosh Hashanah, the New Year of trees, and we are continuing our tree campaign. You can buy a tree, dedicate it in memory or in honor of someone. It's a great gift. It's planted in Israel by the Jewish National Fund. We do this every year, and each and every year, our community has a great response to it. So make sure to check that out. Eat a lot of fruit because Tu B'Shvat is supposed to be a holiday when we eat the fruit from the trees, and it's always a nice celebratory time, particularly given the fact that it's cold, blustery, and winter here, but we're supposed to be thinking of trees, the growth of nature, the greenery coming, the fact that spring is right around the corner, and what better way to do that than celebrating the birthday of trees. So Tu B'Shvat just happened. Enjoy. Another event coming up, really exciting. We're so glad that we were able to book him. The CEO of FIDF, Rabbi Stephen Weil, one of the most highly sought after names in Jewish leadership around the world. He will be joining us for a special presentation on February 17th. It's virtual and it's part of our LEAD program, Leadership, Education, and Development. We're grooming the next generation of philanthropic leaders for our community, and this is one of the programs for that. But the whole community is invited to attend, and you should. This is really going to be interesting, and again, we're really lucky to get Stephen Weil. He's the new CEO of FIDF, as I mentioned, highly sought after, and it's great that we were able to get him. We have a wine tasting coming up in March. Make sure to check for that in Fedmail and mark your calendars. That's an event brought to you by the Life and Legacy Program and Outreach. Really cool, glad we're able to do it. There's another program called Journey into the Light. This one is brought to us by Yad. That's taking place in March, and it's the story of an Egyptian man who grew up, of course, with the, I'm going to say, typical or usual anti-Zionist sentiment, and his experience and his journey as he grew and developed a deeper understanding and connection to Israel. It sounds phenomenal, and you don't want to miss it. That's in March. Also brought to you by Yad, if I hadn't mentioned that. There is, and also I believe that might be, okay, well, forget about that. There are a number of programs coming up that are taking place at our congregations. Be sure to check the calendar for those events. You don't want to miss them. We need to support our congregations. And on February 18th, our own local Central Mass Jewish Theater Company is having a program on Gimple the Fool. And if we have the materials, we're going to have the marketing materials out for that shortly. The Central Mass Jewish Theater Company is a new initiative supported by Federation, began about a year and a half ago, and we're looking forward to doing some in-person events when we're able to, but for the time being, they've all been virtual, of course, as everything else has been. So there we have it. This week, in addition to Tu B'Shvat, we also observed International Holocaust Remembrance Day, which is separate from Yom HaShoah. Yom HaShoah is on the Jewish or Hebrew calendar. It takes place in the springtime, but International Holocaust Remembrance Day is in commemoration or conjunction with the date that Auschwitz was liberated in 1945. So we observed the 76th anniversary of that liberation this week, and I was moved to see so many people on Facebook, leaders around the world, post Holocaust observance notifications or messages on that day, and it's just a good reminder or good. It's a good image. It's nice. It's important and nice to see that so many people are continuing to ensure that the legacy of our Holocaust survivors, and of course the 6 million who were murdered during the Holocaust, that they are never forgotten, the lessons, their stories, but the lessons of those years, those tragic years, the worst years in the history of humankind, that's never forgotten, and that we continue to ensure that it never happens again, never forget. And I know that each and every year, and particularly this year with COVID, we've seen the death of so many of our survivors. And as each year passes and we become further removed from the events of World War II and the Holocaust, there are fewer eyewitnesses alive today. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that those stories are told, those lives are never forgotten, because it's easy to think 6 million, and that's a round number that's thrown around, but those are 6 million lives, people who woke up in the morning and lived normal experiences, whether they were in Poland or Germany or Austria or France or the Netherlands or anywhere, in Europe, lived very normal, good lives. And the tragedy of the Holocaust was that each of those people, they were taken, never to experience a full, fulfilled natural life. And 1.5 million of the 6 million were children, which is particularly tragic. It's really unfathomable. And what I mean to say is we just have to remember that when we're talking about 6 million murders, we're talking about 6 million actual living people who had lives and existences. And I'm not articulating that well, but I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. And if you visit Yad Vashem, or you visit the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum or any of the camps, and you see the personal artifacts, I think that that's the most moving piece of those visits, because it reinforces the fact that these were actual lives, actual human beings, our grandparents, our family members, and within our own Central Mass community, there are so many of us who personally had lives touched, destroyed by the Holocaust, family members who were never seen again, families cut short, and that's the tragedy of it, and that's the lesson that must never be forgotten. So we're grateful to the international community for having this International Day of Commemoration, and of course, as a Jewish community, we will observe Yom HaShoah, a day of Holocaust remembrance, this coming spring. And it's more important than ever that we do that. We continue to keep these stories and that message alive. I want to wish you a good Shabbos. As I mentioned before, stay warm and healthy over this weekend. Let us know if you need anything. And thank you so much for your support. Take care. Bye-bye.